This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And I can't believe this boy was born on Valentine's Day, but he is. It's Jim Kelly. He's 61 years old. He was born February 14, 1960, and played 11 years in the NFL, all for Buffalo. He also played 2 seasons for Houston in the USFL, which is weird enough. So anyway, he was part of the great 1983 NFL draft of quarterbacks, the Super Six, if you will. He was picked 14th overall by Buffalo. He decided to sign for the USFL instead and didn't play for Buffalo until the USFL had folded. Using the K-gun offense, aka the no-huddle formations, Kelly led one of the best NFL scoring juggernauts of all time. From 90 to 93, or from 91 to 94, if you will, he went through 4 straight Super Bowls. Sadly, though, they didn't win any of them. And he got to be 5 Pro Bowls. Jim Kelly's number 12 is retired by Buffalo alongside Furman Thomas and Bruce Smith. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2002. So he played for the University of Miami. Now, Miami at that time, in the late 70s, early 80s, were just starting to get into the college football thing, that basically they were one of the top 10 schools and all that. They were just kind of middle in the pack in the 1960s and 70s. Kelly was actually offered a scholarship to play at Penn State under Joe Paterno, but Paterno wanted Kelly at linebacker. So the University of Miami stepped in and said he could be a quarterback. And he did. He started all the games with the Miami team in 4 years. 30-15 with 33 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. That's not the important part. The important part was for Miami in 80 and 81 was that they were pretty good. And, he passed the QB torch to people like Bertie Kosar, Fede Testaverde, a few other quarterbacks. Before being drafted, before Kelly didn't want to play for Minnesota, Green Bay, or Buffalo because he hated cold weather. Buffalo didn't select him with their first pick in the first round, 12 overall, but then they selected him 14th. Kelly didn't like that. He didn't like that. But then he thought that team owner Ruff Wilson wasn't bringing in the right players to build a championship team, and Buffalo kind of did suck in the mid-80s. Kelly was resigned to play for Buffalo. However, he learned about the USFL. And Kelly's agent said, would you rather play in Houston or Buffalo? So he went to Houston, and with the run and shoot offense, he threw for 9,800 yards in 2 seasons. That's freaking amazing. That's almost 5,000 yards a year. He was the USFL MVP in 84 with 5,219 yards passing. When Houston folded, Kelly went to New Jersey. It was supposed to be their star quarterback. However, the league collapsed thanks to Donald Trump's interference trying to make the USFL a fall league instead of a spring league, which would have brought a lot in revenue. Anyway, Houston took on Los Angeles in what would be a great quarterback battle between Jim Kelly and Steve Young. Of course, this is USFL. ABC was supposed to have this game. However, they wanted to cover Doug Flutie's debut with the New Jersey Generals instead. Only cameraman that worked for both teams recorded the game, and it was amazing. Houston was down 33-14 with 10 minutes left, and then Kelly gave him a big comeback, and he threw for 574 yards. So Buffalo had Jim Kelly's right, and he decided to play for Buffalo. However, Buffalo started to pick up steam by the late 80s with the K-gun, using the K-gun offense, and it worked. He got them to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances and 6 divisional titles in an 8-year span between 88 and 95. And they made the playoffs 8 of 11 years as Kelly starting quarterback, which isn't that bad. His go-to receiver was Andre Reed, who is one of the best receivers yet. They connected for 65 touchdowns, Kelly and Reed, trailing only Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates, Steve Young, Jerry with Jerry Rice, Dan Marino with Mark Clayton, Peyton Manning with Reggie Wayne, and Drew Brees with Marcus Colston. Kelly appeared in the 30 for 30 film Four Falls of Buffalo, basically talking about their triumphs and tragedies, all that, with the four straight Super Bowl losses. So basically, yeah, it was one of the best yet. However, the K-Gun offense was subject to Super Bowl 25 when the Giants beat the Bills. The Giants did the one thing that would slow them down. Time of possession. Basically, the Giants would eat up the game clock, giving Buffalo less time to run plays. And it worked, kind of. So anyway, with Buffalo, he played 160 games, all of them starts, passed for 35,467 yards, 237 touchdowns, and 175 interceptions. Kelly actually holds the second best record, most yards gained per completion in a single game. He's second with 44, established when they beat Carolina. He got the passer rating record in 1990 and then led the NFL with 33 touchdown passes in 91. In 4 Super Bowls, Kelly only threw 2 touchdowns in those 4 Super Bowls with 7 interceptions. His 81 completions still are 5th most in Super Bowl history behind Brady, Manning, Peyton Manning, Warner, and Montana. In Super Bowl 26 in 1994, he actually set the record for pass attempts with 58. No, 26 is 92, sorry. And in 94, he had 31 completions, which was the record at the time. Jim Kelly was inducted into the Hall of Fame on his first year of eligibility, which was shocking. He headlined the class that had John Stallworth, Dan Hampton, Dave Casper, and George Allen in it. Kelly has a wife and 2 daughters, Erin and Cameron. He had a son who was actually diagnosed with Krabbe disease, Krabbe disease, or glomerulus cell leukodystrophy. Hunter died at age 8, sadly. 2 of Kelly's nephews also played quarterback. Chad Kelly played for Clemson and Ole Miss and was part of the NFL draft. And he was actually the last player picked in that draft. 2017 draft by Denver. And Casey plays as a tight end. Kelly is a devout Christian. As always, he runs things. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cell carcinoma, a form of cancer in his upper jaw, in 2013. He had surgery and basically was cancer-free. Unfortunately, Kelly's cancer recurred March of 2014. But he did it again. August 2014, he was made cancer-free. And Kelly actually contracted MRSA, or some kind of staph infection, within his bones. But a few weeks later, he said that everything was back. But unfortunately, Jim Kelly again got cancer for the 3rd time in March 2018. He had to undergo surgery again. But by January 2019, he was named cancer-free. This guy had hit cancer not once, not twice, but thrice. And he's beaten it. That's amazing. The odds are astronomical, but he's beaten cancer 3 times. So anyway, let's talk about the 1983 NFL draft. It had 6 star quarterbacks in the first round. John Elway, Todd Blackledge, Jim Kelly, Tony Eason, Ken O'Brien, and Dan Marino. It was huge and all that. Highest number of first round picks for that position. 4 of the 6, Elway, Kelly, Eason, and Marino, were in the Super Bowl. Elway, Kelly, O'Brien, and Marino were in the Pro Bowl. And Elway, Kelly, and Marino have been into the Pro Hall of Fame. All 6 quarterbacks were drafted by AFC teams. Ironically, is that every member of the 5-team AFC East at that time, the Colts, Dolphins, Bills, Jets, and Patriots, actually selected a quarterback. The only other team was the Kansas City Chiefs with Blackledge. It was amazing. However, Super Bowls for the quarterback class of '83 would hurt them. They have combined a 2-9 record among them. John Elway being the only one to get a Super Bowl. all that. So yeah. So the 6 quarterbacks. John Elway was drafted by Baltimore, and then a few months later, his rights were traded to Denver for Chris Hinton, if memory serves me right. Now, the worst part about that is that a lot of people say John Elway basically didn't like Baltimore. There was also a reason for that, and people forget about this. John Elway did not want to play for Baltimore because of another reason, and that's because Baltimore hired Frank Kush, Kush, as head coach. Frank Kush was basically known as a disciplinarian and a polarizing figure at Arizona State University when he was head coach for many years. Because John Elway and his father Jack actually were part of the Pac-10. You know, Jack was John's coach at Stanford. They knew about Kush's intimidating style, so he refused to play for Baltimore. Baltimore would later trade him to Denver, and ironically enough, Elway's first fourth quarter comeback was in Baltimore as a member of the opposition. Sadly, though, for Baltimore, they would pack up and move to Indianapolis the next year. Eric Dickerson was picked second from SMU. Houston and Seattle both had a chance, but they traded that pick away, and the Rams got him. And man, as a rookie, over 2,000 yards. That's amazing. No, sorry, that was his second year. The second quarterback pick was Todd Blackledge of Kansas City, to Kansas City from Penn State. He was okay, but he wasn't really that much of a superstar and all that. People drafted ahead of Blackledge were Kurt Warner with a C from Seattle. That was the Seattle Rams trade, 2 for 3. Chris Hinton was drafted by Denver, and then he was traded to Baltimore for John Elway. And Billy Ray Smith, the linebacker from Arkansas, went to San Diego. And Jimbo Covert from Chicago, offensive tackle. The next quarterback was Jim Kelly, 14th, in a pick that they picked up from Cleveland. Buffalo already drafted tight end Tony Hunter from Notre Dame, but they went with Jim Kelly. New England went 15th and picked Tony Eason, being the 4th quarterback, in from Illinois. The 5th quarterback was Ken O'Brien from the Jets. From California Davis. Like, he was okay. The Jets needed a quarterback and all that. But look at all the teams that could have picked him. Man, he was really good. And worst of all, Dan Marino was the last quarterback in the first round, going 27th. Even Pittsburgh, his hometown team, didn't pick him. They decided to go for defensive tackle Gabriel Rivera from Texas Tech. It worked out for a while, but then all of a sudden he got hurt in a car crash and was paralyzed. Nice job. So anyway, yeah, Jim Kelly is Buffalo's best quarterback, although Josh Allen is catching up to him. Who knows if he'll be the best quarterback of all time. But I still say Jim Kelly. I mean, you take a team to 4 Super Bowls. Even if you lost them all, you're still number 1 in my book. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.